Thanks so much for ordering this week, and thanks for letting us be a part of your very special celebration at home. It's steak night tonight, and so I'm super excited. We've got a delicious menu that is going to make me happy, my wife happy, my son happy, and hopefully all of you happy. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I've just gone ahead and put our potato pave in the oven at 425 degrees, or in my case, 400 degrees in a convection oven. If you have a convection oven, you like to cook on convection, always just take it down 25 degrees. I've taken my soy marinated flank steak out of the bag, and I've patted it dry with a paper towel. And then we are going to preheat a cast iron pan, if you have one, to medium high. And then I need to preheat a non-stick pan to medium. Both are going to get 1 tablespoon of neutral oil per person. I use grapeseed oil, but a lot of people like to use canola oil or even vegetable oil. I've got my bordelaise sauce in the back, or the most of the bordelaise sauce. We're going to add a little butter to it, and we're going to put that on low. There we go. So that'll heat up nicely. Next, why don't we go ahead and sear our steak as soon as. So Chef Rich says, put your fan on. And how to know that your pan is ready, you can do a couple things. One, you can look for some smoke around the rim. The other thing is put some water in it. Just sprinkle a little bit of water, and when it pops, seriously, it means it's ready to go. And we're going to sear this for about 45 seconds per side. And we want to start with our steak because it's always important to rest your meat. Once you rest your meat, the juices flow to the center and it becomes super tender and super flavorful. If you cut your steak right away when it's out and hot, then not so much. I've got my salad ready. Our greens, our butter lettuce is ready to go with some dressing. We're going to cut up an apple, and I'll show you how to do that. But I think I see the smoke starting to form. So why don't we go ahead and sear our steak. So while that's searing, about 45 seconds on each side, we can start dressing our salad. I think they gave me a little too much dressing, so we're going to start with this. And the butter lettuce is put in quarters. Make sure to add some salt and pepper to it. And we've got this sort of Dijon vinaigrette, which is going to be really nice. And just put that on the side, and the vinaigrette will sort of marinate the lettuce while we're plating the rest of the stuff. So our steaks, we want a nice little sear, a nice brown crust on top of it. So while that's doing it, we're going to take our apple, and the easy way to do it. So it's the equivalent of half an apple per person that we're doing. Sort of cut it up into quarters. This is the way that my wife actually cuts her apple, so it makes it super easy for me to do. But before I do, let me make sure I'm not burning my steak. We've already cooked this sous vide to rare, so we're basically just steering it off and taking it to medium rare. If you want it more than medium rare, then you want to put it in the oven for 3 minutes more per degree of doneness. So hopefully you guys can see my apple cutting. It's sticking to, because I don't think I washed it after I cut the butter just before I started this video, which is why the apple is sticking. And you're going to want to be able to fan it out, which I'm going to show you on the salad plate. And the apple can go there on the side. One other thing is your marinated onions, pickled onions. You want to drain the liquid out of it because you don't want that. Put that on the side. Still got a little bit left on this guy. So why don't I go ahead and start on my green beans. Hands on medium. And it's just going to be in the oil for the first little bit, and then we're going to add some water and some butter in order to steam it nicely. For the white wine with the appetizer tonight is one of my favorites. This is a Janare Falanghina from Campania in Italy. Connor describes it as food-friendly, elegant, fruit-forward. Notes of lemon, spice, honey, and wildflowers come through with balanced acidity. I'm a big fan of the Falangina. Okay, so we're almost there. We're going to turn the heat down. We're going to do 1 tablespoon of butter per person. Melt that in. And as soon as it's melted, we're going to butter bathe it. I'm going to flip it around. Almost there. I'm going to bring this up just a notch. Hopefully you can still hear me over the hood fan. Okay, the butter is basically melted, and this is when you do this. Our butter bathing. We're going to do about 15 seconds per side. And that's where you get the luxuriousness of the butter going on the steak. Okay, flip the other side. And about 15 seconds on this guy. And this is a secret or a trick that you can use anytime you're cooking a steak. You can cook a steak on a barbecue, but it doesn't get you this luxuriousness of the butter that's brown. Okay, now you don't want to throw that stuff away. I'm going to turn the heat off, and now I can turn the hood fan off. And the steaks are going to go on here, but you're actually going to use this pan with all of the steak juice and the butter in order to cook your mushrooms. So, while the steak is resting, using the pan that the steak was seared in, cook your oyster mushrooms in 1 tablespoon of oil per person. So we're going to add a little bit there. I'm actually going to change that. I'm going to change the chef's recipe because there's lots of butter in there. So we're going to use half a tablespoon per person. You like how I'm changing the chef's recipe? And then we're going to saute for 2 minutes, and then we're going to add unsalted butter and cook for an additional 2 minutes. So let's get that pan back up to medium. And I missed a green bean there. Don't miss the green bean. Okay, so I think we're ready for our butter. 1 tablespoon for 2 people, and 2 tablespoons of water. So 1 tablespoon per person. And that's going to basically steam the beans a little bit. So you don't have to steam beans ahead of time, which is great. Don't grab your cast iron pan, by the way, as I was about to. Bordelaise, we're going to get that going on a little bit more. And as soon as it's ready, we're going to add a little butter to that as well. But let's plate up our salad. Okay, so the butter lettuce is going down first. So you guys are going to basically get a head of lettuce between the two of you. I maybe did a little bit extra here. But don't forget, we're feeding 3 in my household for our dinner. Okay. And then, then the pickled onions, the Hermite Bleu. And this is all the beautiful colors coming out. Hermite Bleu cheese, and then the spiced or candied walnuts. There we are. So maybe a little bit of pickling liquid there. And if you don't like blue cheese, no problem. You can just substitute for almost any cheese that you have in your fridge. But the blue gives it a nice sharpness for this salad. It's kind of a real steakhouse salad. Okay. mushrooms looking good, and our green beans looking good. I wonder if we're going to be able to plate our dessert before the rest of our stuff is ready. Let's see. Oops, I think I put too many of the walnuts on the one salad. Just going to clean up the sides a little bit. Did I get it all? I feel like I'm missing something. Nope, I think I got it all. Okay, there's our butter lettuce salad. Oh yeah, the apple. That's exactly what I forgot. Now feel free to be decorative and do anything you like, but I'm going to do this in a sort of classic fan. And there is our butter lettuce salad with the Honeycrisp apple, Vermint blue cheese, pickled red onion, and our candied walnuts or spiced walnuts. Green beans are looking good. Don't forget, for both of them, I need to add some salt and pepper. Mix the mushrooms around a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to adapt the instructions. We don't need to add any more butter to the mushrooms because the butter is already there. However, we are going to add some butter to the sauce. So I think 1 tablespoon for 2 people will be good. I'm kind of adapting the chef's recipe on the fly because we didn't have a chance to do this in person today because I had a bit of a cough and I didn't want to get other people sick at the restaurant. So I just went in and did everything by phone and had them drop the meal kit in my car. Okay, so I think the green beans are ready. We're going to turn that off. Mushrooms looking good. We're going to turn that off too. We're going to emulsify the butter in the bordelaise sauce. Okay. I forgot to garnish the other plate with the apple. There we go. So dessert. This is the classic dessert from Gezellig, our sister restaurant. Hey Google, off. I'm going to turn the oven off. Pate is looking great. We're going to leave it in there for a second to stay warm. Chef warned me it should not be room temperature, and I left it out too long. So I'm going to need to plate this very gingerly. You can bring it out of the fridge, maybe about 10 minutes beforehand. And we have 3 different garnishes. The graham cracker crumb, the dulce de leche, and then the marshmallow fluff. And I am going to get a pastry spatula in order to do this. Perfect. And then dulce de leche on one side and the fluff on the other side. Sprinkle graham crackers on the top. And of course, they sent me with double the portion because usually we only have one dessert when I do the meal kit videos. So my son will enjoy that later on. And probably especially the marshmallow fluff. I did this in a bowl tonight, which is what I usually do the desserts in. The chef will probably say, hey, no, I wanted it on a plate. So I'm taking some liberties tonight. Again, when you're not in person, sometimes you need to adapt. But I think this looks pretty good. The graham cracker crust all over. There we go. Our classic Gezellig Butterfinger. Chocolate and peanut butter, dulce de leche, and marshmallow. Who wouldn't like that? All right, let's get going on our steak. Make sure my mushrooms are looking good. So potato pave, I think, is the first thing we need to plate up. So on a baking sheet, I'm going to use my knife here. Pave is on one side. Then let's get our steak over for our cutting. Let's get rid of the apple. There we go. So before we cut, let's season it with salt and pepper on both sides, because I didn't even season it to start, because it's got the soy marinade on it, so it doesn't need it. But you always want to season your steak at the end. Now with flank steak, it's very easy. You can see where the grain is, and you want to cut against the grain. You want to cut it in like sort of half-inch sections. Some flank steaks will be more square, some will be more rectangle. And the red wine, by the way, is also an old-time classic. We haven't seen it for a while. This is our color field. It's a blend of Shiraz and Merlot and Cabernet from South Africa, from Stellenbosch. By the way, if you flip the ends, then you can see red all along. So next, for the plating, green beans beside the pave. That's this one. Let's hope I'm doing this the way that the chef wants, because I've adapted the recipe on the butter and the oil for the others, which we're going to talk about tomorrow. Slice the steak thinly and place on top of the beans. Okay, so let's go with this one. And try to fan it out a little bit so you can see the nice red. Good. There we go. And our mushrooms next. Don't burn yourself. And I think he actually said mushrooms on top of the steak. I'm going to do some on top, and I'm going to do some on the side so you can still see the steak. This is my pretty one. There we go. And there's that mushroom butter and stuff, so why not include that? And now the Bordelaise sauce. Make sure that's off. And this is going to go around the plate. Smelling lovely. Nice and rich and delicious. This is classic steakhouse kind of stuff. So there is our oyster mushroom topped marinated flank steak with the green beans, the pave, and the Bordelaise sauce. I hope you love your meal this week. Thanks so much for ordering. Thanks for supporting us. We're thrilled that, as COVID counts go up, we actually get more orders from Curated, so we appreciate it, but we're excited to see you back in the restaurant real soon as well. But I really hope we get to curate for you again also really soon. Have a great night.